From secret strategies to mine faster, wall hacks and item duping, to unobtainable armor, negating damage, and automatic XP and infinite items, Minecraft has a rich history of bugs and exploits. The vast majority of bugs are niche, annoying, forgettable, and useless, but a very small selection have become extremely useful and powerful. And an even smaller handful of these bugs were so effective that they either became unofficial features or were so liked by the community that they didn't want Mojang to patch them. Today we explore some of Minecraft's most useful bugs that players didn't want Mojang to fix, some of which were patched years ago, some of which are going to be patched very soon, and some of which still work to this day. We'll begin by looking at an extremely old but extremely useful bug that has now been forgotten. In Minecraft Beta 1.2 and earlier versions, there was a bug which allowed you to mine faster, coined by players at the time as click mining. Basically, as soon as you finished mining a block, rather than continuing to hold left click as we all do now, you let go of left click and then clicked it again to begin mining. And because of the way the game worked at the time, whereby it did not apply the same block breaking delay it normally would, you were able to mine blocks faster. Here's a comparison of me mining a few blocks with and without the click mining strategy. What was so great about this bug was that besides its ease of use and the increased efficiency it gave you, it also worked on multiplayer servers, meaning that early players became very accustomed to using this strategy, basically becoming muscle memory to them. This bug was eventually patched however, but some players missed it so much they would often request Notch added back as a feature, and some players even made mods that would add this bug back to the game, of which were regularly used years after it was patched. On the topic of old Minecraft bugs, one of the most famous was the ability to climb ladders that had gaps between them. This was super widespread in early Minecraft, and if you download any old Minecraft world or watch any old Let's Play, ladders with gaps between them can be found everywhere. In Beta 1.5, this bug was finally fixed, but due to how widespread it was and how many people had become accustomed to it, players weren't exactly happy. Luckily, Notch compromised and made it so you get 2 ladders per craft in this update as well, so players were okay with it for the most part. A very old Minecraft bug that for years was left unpatched was the ability to evade incoming fall damage by saving and quitting a world then re-entering. I've lost count of the number of times I've abused this bug throughout my over 10 years playing the game, so much so that if I ever faced a fatal fall in single player, it became muscle memory for me to hit escape. The only reason this bug worked for so long was actually due to another bug, where players are given resistance against all forms of damage for a brief few seconds when first logging into a world. As mentioned, this bug has existed for a very long time, impacting over 10 years worth of Minecraft versions, but coincidentally was actually fixed only a month ago in a Minecraft 1.21.4 snapshot. That means that there are no more get out of jail cards on hardcore now. If you are plummeting to your death, you are most likely going to die. Players are a bit disappointed such a useful and old bug is being fixed, and I'm sure many more are in for a rude awakening once 1.21.4 releases and they try it in their hardcore worlds only to meet their untimely end. So far, all of the bugs we've talked about have or are going to be patched, but one useful bug that is still not patched and hopefully never will be is the ability to see through walls when in third person. If you enable third person mode and then walk around in a rather cramped space such as a cave or strip mine, you will occasionally be able to see through walls, allowing you to see other caves, entities, and players. This is an old bug that has worked for quite some time and is regularly used in game modes such as UHC to help players find caves they can look for diamonds in, or by players on servers who use it to see underground through walls, potentially revealing hidden bases which they can raid. A bug Mojang actually stated they were going to patch but never did due to community disagreement is the Pigman XP Bug. To explain, when a mob is killed by the environment or sources other than a player, they don't drop XP. Mobs will only drop XP when directly slain by a player, that's how it's always been. But due to a bug, if a zombie pigman is aggroed at a player and then dies to an environmental source such as fall damage, they will still drop XP despite not being killed by a player. This bug enabled the creation of probably the most useful XP farm in Minecraft history, the Donut in the Sky Pigman farm. Basically, if you go up above the Nether roof using exploits to break through Bedrock and then build a pigman farm, because no other spawnable locations are around and the only spot mobs can spawn is on your build, pigmen will spawn rapidly. And if you set up some pigmen around the farm to act as sentry pigmen which are aggroed at you all the time, then they will aggro the newly spawned pigmen which will run at you and die due to entity cramming and grant you XP. It's a fully automatic, super fast, gold and experience farm, one of the best there is. Now, Mojang actually mentioned that they were planning to fix this bug and did so in a 1.16.1 pre-release version back in 2020, but after the community asked for it back, it was unfixed, with Mojang still stating it would eventually be fixed in a future version, with other developers and Mojang employees clearly mentioning it is unintended behavior they don't want in the game. Yet, now almost 5 years later, the bug still thankfully remains unfixed and there hasn't really been any word on it since. What there has been word on though is the fact that we just hit 750k subs and are now striving for 800k. Be sure to subscribe, no pressure. Now, the only reason these pigmen farms are possible is due to a few other bugs related to the Nether roof and bedrock breaking. While glitching onto the Nether roof has been a bug for some time and is still considered as such, mind you, it wasn't until Minecraft 1.2.1 where the build limit was increased to 256 that players could actually build on the Nether roof and utilize it. Despite initially being considered a bug, and still being so considering the only way to access the Nether roof is through the use of other bugs, accessing and building on the Nether roof has become somewhat of an unofficial Minecraft feature at this point. And players are thankful for it, as outside of the Nether roof being useful for a variety of farms, it's also useful for Nether highways, long distance mob transportation, and much more, and it doesn't really seem like Mojang has any plans to disable players from accessing it or building it in the near future. Since we are on the topic, another bug, or rather series of bugs which the community does not want patched, are bedrock breaking bugs. Now, there is a long history of these bedrock breaking exploits. I made an entire video about it, but I'll give you a quick rundown of the most notable. One of the earliest bedrock breaking exploits was as simple as placing seeds under bedrock blocks like so. A variety of trees have been able to break or rather replace bedrock blocks throughout the game's history too, and arguably the most known method, and the method most often used to access the Nether roof years ago, was the dragon egg method, whereby using a piston to drop a dragon egg whilst in unloaded chunks would cause it to break a block of bedrock. Anywho, bedrock breaking bugs are very much appreciated by the Minecraft community, many of which don't want to see them patched, but fortunately, even when they are, new methods always come about. Very similarly, TNT duplication bugs are also ones which are regularly used by the community. Basically, these are methods of duplicating the TNT entity, creating an unlimited source of ignited TNT used in various farms, world eaters, and much more. One of the most commonly used TNT duplication methods currently is this contraption here, with dead coral, which has been the go-to since 1.13, unpatched for 6 years now. Interestingly, there may be a reason why Mojang has been hesitant to patch them the past few years, and that's because a couple years ago, Sliced Lime, a Mojang developer, mentioned that TNT Dupers fill a slot in the game that intended game mechanics still cannot, and as such they aren't going to get rid of TNT Dupers just yet. I actually really like the stance taken here. Clearly TNT Dupers are unintended behavior, but Mojang recognizes that their effectiveness and use is not necessarily unbalanced or game breaking, and also understand that removing TNT Dupers without offering a proper game mechanic as a replacement would only be a detriment to the game and its players. That being said, it seems there haven't been any updates on Mojang patching it and adding a proper feature to replace it, so for now, it remains a bug which the community does not want fixed. Another bug which will be fixed in 1.21.4 that players are really upset about is the ability to sprint sneak as well as sprint whilst in other slowed forms. For those of you who didn't know, ever since the release of Minecraft 1.14.2, if you sprint then enter a slowed state such as sneaking, eating, or holding a shield, you will actually move faster than you would if you didn't sprint beforehand. This is a useful little bug, that's for sure, but what really made it notable was the ability to sprint sneak and jump. Normally when you sneak jump you move very slowly, but sprint sneak jumping actually made you move notably faster while still remaining sneaked. Furthermore, if you added the Swift Sneak 3 enchantment to your armor, your sprint sneak and sprint sneak jump speed would now almost entirely cancel out any speed debuffs sneaking gave you. It was a super useful bug, especially in ancient cities, and due to how long it was in the game, many players became used to using sprint sneaking and considered it a feature, myself included. But only about a month ago now, it was patched in a 1.21.4 snapshot to the displeasure of many players who still want to see it remain in the game, as they claim the game feels more sluggish without it. With the release of Minecraft 1.14 way back in early 2019, an unannounced change occurred within the game. It was now possible to add multiple types of protection to armor through the anvil, combine different types of protection books, as well as get multiple multiple types of protection on armor straight from the enchantment table. As a result, it was now possible to get God armor in vanilla survival Minecraft for the very first time, the most powerful and protective armor in the game. Upon this unannounced change, players were confused and believed it was some bug that would be soon fixed, but as 1.14.1 and 1.14.2 both released with God armor still remaining in the game, many believed it to be a new feature. That was until 1.14.3 where it was removed, officially confirming it to be a bug. Players were really upset about this and asked Mojang if this bug could instead become a feature of the game. Getting a full set of protection for armor is relatively easy these days, and as such, giving players the ability to attain God armor was a great addition for late game players, as getting the perfect armor set was quite a time-intensive task in of itself. The addition of God armor notably fleshed out Minecraft's late game, and most players thought it was a balanced and cool feature to have, but alas, it likely won't ever make its return. While Minecraft dupe bugs and exploits are generally too overpowered to remain unpatched, there are certain dupe exploits in the game, functional only on specific items which the community believes should not be patched. The first of which are string dupers. Since 2014, there has been a bug in the game whereby if you destroy string placed within a tripwire hook with water, it will duplicate and drop twice the number of items it should. This only works if the water is flowing in an east to west direction, because the method in which the string is updated when broken was not made properly. Regardless, this bug was seen as extremely useful by the community, especially in villager trading, crafting of skulk blocks, as well as wool. So much so that even Paper, the Minecraft server software most servers use, after patching this on servers, would add in a config to enable it for those who wanted it to work. With the help of another bug, where for some reason, after disarming string using shears, it would create a bugged piece of string, infinite and entirely automatic string duping devices could be made, able to dupe up to 25,000 string per hour. Unfortunately for players, these string bugs were patched in 1.21.2 only a few months ago, many of which are still upset about, and are still looking for new ways to dupe string to this day. In a similar vein, one of the most useful Minecraft dupes which has remained unpatched still to this day is the sand or rather falling block dupe. Whenever any block which is affected by gravity is passed in and out of an end portal frame, it will duplicate them in the other dimension. You could set this up in various ways. There are various designs, also requiring another glitch whereby mushroom trees break end portal frames, and they are super efficient and entirely automatic. Interestingly, despite remaining unpatched on Java, falling block dupers were actually patched on Bedrock earlier this year, which many Bedrock players were not happy about. Gravity block duping has become a core part of the game, as it is currently the only way to get certain blocks like sand renewably, so they likely won't be patched for a similar reason TNT Dupers are, not until a proper mechanic or method to renewably obtain sand is added to the game. And finally we have possibly the most divisive former bug on this list, which players either loved or hated, and that was zero-tick farming. First becoming known back in 2016 and 2017, if the block which a certain crop was growing on or supported by was instantly replaced with another of that block within the same tick, that crop would almost instantly grow. This method of replacement was referred to as zero-ticking, as you were effectively activating and deactivating a piston within the same game tick, thus replacing a block within the same game tick. This bug allowed for the creation of very simple and compact farms that were obscenely fast and very useful. Many players considered these farms OP and were happy they were finally patched in 1.16, but others liked how easy and efficient they were and desperately begged Mojang to unfix the bug. Mods were even made that unpatched the bug, but years later, zero-ticking has ultimately been forgotten. And that about wraps it up. Be sure to subscribe. Thank you all so much for watching.